Bailey Konieczka is the founder of Bailey Catherine Interiors, a holistic interior design company rooted in the belief that our homes should reflect not just who we are, but also the world we want to live in. Through her holistic approach, Bailey blends creativity, organization, and environmental responsibility to craft interiors that are not only beautiful, but deeply intentional. Bailey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Heather. Excited to be here.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled as well. You are my favorite designer. And so I want to start with this. You believe that homes should be filled with intention and not excess. What does that mean?
Well, I think something that we're really facing in our current society is overconsumption.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also facing the repercussions of that in our day to day lives and the emotional weight that is leaving on us. And so, as much as possible, when I'm working with my clients, if I can really tune in to what is important in their lives, what their values base is, and design around that to provide a space that's simple, functional, streamlined, like improving their day to day habits and just offering that, like, it's almost like a breath of fresh air that comes from having a simplistic and not overly filled space.
I believe with so many distractions, we may not even know what we want. And the way you just described that space felt so light and so empowering. And so, this overconsumption, where do you think it comes from, or why do you think it's happening? Why is it even a part of our lives today?
I mean, I think it's so easily accessible. Like, we've gotten so comfortable with and probably a little bit addicted to the instant gratification that comes from ordering something and getting it, like, the next day. And I feel just like anything, yeah, it's like easy to become addicted to that. And then we're like filled with just so much stuff in our spaces. And it's terrible. I mean, so as much as possible, if I can be guiding my clients to having spaces that are really thought out and only providing the essentials, but also in a way that, like, I don't want spaces to feel cold. So in a way that also feels really like warm and aligned with the way that they want to be living their lives and their personal values.
Yes. Yeah. I think all this stuff sometimes I just know from my own personal experience. I was buying so much because I was filling a hole. I didn't realize it at the time. And I thought my happiness was in all the stuff. I didn't realize that I could ease up on all the buying and just tune in within and reconnect myself in a sense. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. And frankly, Amazon will probably drive back and forth while we're doing this call today, at least past your house or my house or both, because it is just so prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I've kind of become a little bit of like a utilitarian and like a purist in some form. And I think what drives that is like when we really get down to the root of what's important in our lives, it should be the relationships. It should be our connection with our built environment or or nature and how that like fuels us and gives us life. And so when you break it down to, that root of being what's important, it really just we have to release a lot
Yeah.
to have space for that.
Yeah. So powerful. So, from your perspective as a designer, how does clutter impact the way a home will feel or function? Right? Even the word feels heavy, doesn't it?
Totally. Yeah. Well, oftentimes when I'm working with clients, like we'll have to do a decent downsize before we can even start a project because if it's a beautiful, newly remodeled space, like let's take a closet, for example, and you're maintaining all the existing things, it's like you can get your new space with your pretty wallpaper and your like systems. But if we're putting like 3 times the amount of stuff that should be in there, it kind of ruins the design. So just, yeah, prioritizing like having the amount of things that your space can actually hold. Like I always talk about having a home for everything within your home. And so like if, this is your linen closet and that's how many towels it holds, kind of adjusting your life to fit the space that you're in. And I'm feeling that deeply right now because I just downsized into a 550 square foot apartment, which is adorable and I quaint and I love it, but it's like it's small compared to what I was in before. And so I'm really like having to go through that process and determine like, okay, this is how much space I have for mugs or whatever it is.
Yes.
And I actually don't need more than that.
Yes. Yes. I think that that's a big lie that we need more, that we always need more. And actually, we don't. You're living in a small space, as am I. And even though it's small, it can still feel spacious, right? If you're intentional. So what did downsizing, do you have any tips on downsizing? Like even before we get to design,
Yeah.
what are your tips on downsizing to make it easier? Because
Yeah, I've
it
been in the
can,
thick of it.
yes.
It
Yeah.
is a process, and I think I I'm trying to give myself a lot of grace throughout it as well because as much as I, believe these things wholeheartedly, it still is hard to release and like get rid of things. And there are things that we have sentimental ties to and it's tough. So I think like just acknowledging that it is challenging and giving yourself grace around that. I would say I've started, especially like since I moved in and starting unpacking, I've had like a set corner where I've got like, okay, can this go into my sentimental bin that's in a garage space? Or can I have a donate pile? Or can I like recycle things like, things that are need to move out, have a space to go. And then when that pile gets full, I'm like slowly purging.
Okay. Okay. Well, and I think what is so powerful is that this approach works for you and it might work for others. It probably does work for others, many others, but we're all unique. And so it's no judgment. It's just find the approach that works for you to let those
Totally.
things go so that you don't live in a space that's so physically stuffed. And
Hmm.
you had mentioned that word stuffed or just storing so much. And we can feel that, can't we?
Hmm. Yeah, I'm so much more focused, like, working from home. If my space is like clean and tidy and I know where things are, and it helps me, I think, with all of my habits. Like, if my space is together, then I'm more like on top of my yoga routine. I'm more on top of eating healthy. It kind of has I think, a ripple effect there.
For sure. I know if I walk into the house and it's calm and serene, I'll go find Lulu, my dog, and we'll go take a walk around the block. However, if I walk in and I've got two teenagers, and if there are random socks everywhere, or a soccer backpack, or I don't know, just the stuff, I see that. I feel it immediately. It definitely
Yeah.
impacts my physiology. And what do? I don't take a walk with Lulu. I go into the kitchen. I'm like, what can I munch on? What can I buffer myself, use as a buffer so that I don't feel that mess? Now, does it do any good? No, of course, it's not addressing the root issue, but I feel it too. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting my space. Hopefully in the next couple weeks. Like it's getting close, but I'm ready for it to be there so that I can just like focus on my life, focus on my habits, focus on my routine, focus on what's important.
Now, earlier you mentioned the word habit, like designing a space that's really going to support your values and the habits that you want to embrace.
Mhm.
I had never thought about design in that way, supporting habits. Supporting values, yes. To me, it's important to bring a lot of nature into the home. That's embracing nature is one of my values. But I want to talk about habits for a moment. What do you mean by that? Or what can we do so that our home can support a healthier version of who we want to be?
Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of design actually is like really getting to know my clients' needs and desires for their lives. And then, yeah, curating a space that's really aligned to that vision. And like I'm doing a kitchen remodel right now for a client that really loves to bake. Like it just like brings her so much joy. And so we're getting into all the nitty-gritty of like exactly what that process looks like and where, how she wants to flow through her space. And it just like excites me to think that I can help her create this dream space that's going to improve something that she already really loves and make her do it more, you know? So, and that's obviously different for every person. I love designing closets. That's kind of like a little, or like, closets and bathrooms and thinking about, okay, when you wake up in the morning, what are your steps? And how are you starting your day? And how can we be intentional about the flow of that through your space and how you're interacting with your home to really set yourself up for having the best day possible?
So will you translate that into maybe a question or two that you would ask your clients to get to know them better and their values better and what it is that they desire? What's something that you would ask?
Just, yeah, I guess like about morning routine. So, are you going to the gym in the morning or do you like a more slow morning? Do you need a corner where you can curl up with your cup of coffee or your tea and like do you journal? Like all of those things would play into how their space is laid out. And if they have that little cozy reading nook in their bedroom, or, if their gym clothes are, like, in this specific part of the closet where it's, like, it's super easy and streamlined that they're gonna take them and grab them and, like, be on with their day. So, I guess asking about that with, like, bedroom closets and then kitchens, yeah, getting into the nitty-gritty of, like, how do you cook? What's your day-to-day meal prepping look like? And how are you interacting with the space? How would you like to be interacting with the space too? So, like, can we make making healthy meals a little bit easier for you? Or what's gonna have you feel inspired
Mm.
to create, whatever it is in your life that you're trying to create?
I think these questions are so powerful because they can help us reflect and think about what it is that we want, and we can start to make changes right away.
Mhm.
Go rearrange the kitchen or the closet. We kind of talk tiny bit about nature. Talk about the power of bringing nature into the home for
Yeah.
maybe for everyone.
Yeah. So, biophilic design is one of my, like, I feel like top pillars of design, which biophilic is our innate love as humans of being surrounded by things that are from the natural world or organic in form. So it can look in a couple different ways. Like it can be, the obvious of bringing houseplants into your space. It can be natural materials, wood, wickers, linens, things that feel really organic. Or it can be imagery that is inspired by something natural forming. So if you think about like a painting that mimics the veining from leaves, things like that that we maybe don't even really intentionally like think about it, but subconsciously those any of those examples are lowering our heart rate, like helping us feel more grounded. I mean, it's scientifically proven, which is so cool. I feel like it's something that I've just like always believed in and known, but now to see kind of some of this like science and design come out with the biophilic movement being really big right now, it's like, yeah, no, this is I mean, this is legit, this really impacts our healing, our like overall health, our and like connection to nature and ourselves.
Do you have any plants that you are particularly drawn to?
I love plants with like soft edges. That's kind of a feng shui thing. Feng shui says that they're plants that are like a lot of jagged edges, or like you think of like a snake plant, maybe aren't as grounding for us as something like a pothos that feels a little bit more, curved and organic. So I love my pothos, and I have my variety of my monstera. Yeah, but and then I've loved gardening. I've recently in the last couple of years gotten really into gardening, and I think that's a really lovely part of my, like, summer routine to go out in the morning and just, like, have a, few minutes with all my plants and my tomatoes and my lettuce and, like, just water everything and be present before my day starts, so I've loved creating that as well.
Mm. What about color? I feel like there's every color in nature, but are there certain colors that are more grounding, or should we all just use the colors we like? Or, yeah, how does color play into all of
Yeah.
this?
Well, color is really subjective, like, I I always try and really get to know my clients and their preferences around color because it really, like, it could be something from childhood that makes you, like, really dislike a certain color, or, a small experience that you had in college. Like, you never know what people's experiences are. I like to lean into, like, what's art that you're drawn to? Um, what colors do you like to wear? Like, I look at, like, my clients' wardrobes and kind of take hints from that of what are they drawn to. Personally got my colors red, like, I guess a year and a half ago now, and that was such a fun experience, and I'm a spring, and that kind of has translated into my interiors for myself because I'm like, "These are the colors that look good on my complexion, so, like, why don't I incorporate them into my space a bit more?" But at the end of the day, I really do think it comes down to, like, what colors make you happy and feel grounding for you, and I think it really is different person to person.
I believe that too. I was just thinking mustard yellow. I've actually always liked the color, but it looks horrible on me. And
Me
so,
too.
I mean, very few people can
Yeah.
do it. But yeah, I love the idea of getting your colors. I've never done that before. It sounds like that sounds like it would be fun just to even get more curious about color. What colors do I
Yeah.
like? And I spent so many years in corporate America where the dress code was basically black, like wear black.
Mhm.
And now that I've been out of it, for a number of years, I do notice there's a lot more color in my closet compared to all of those other years. So for anybody listening or watching that's in corporate America and you are feeling pressured to wear the black dress code, yeah, it's permission to take a pause or a step back and get curious about color. Color
Yeah.
can be so fun.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm always kind of pushing the boundaries of, like, professional dress code because I self-expression is so important to me, and it's such a part of, my industry as well, and so it's like I wanna be fun, and I wanna wear bold prints and fun colors and do it in a way that's, like, yeah, elevated, artistic,
Yeah.
creative professionalism.
Right, right.
I think there should be more of that, you know? Should be more and more normalized.
Yeah, especially if it feels light and fun to do and to be curious about. Absolutely. So, I'm coughing here and there just because I'm healing from toxic mold, years and years of toxic mold, which was in our home, but we didn't realize it. We didn't see it. It wasn't like there was a big rainstorm or anything like that. Gave me so many symptoms, and I'm really close to being 100% again. But my home really did make me sick. It made me sick. And I know mold is not the only culprit. How else can we make our homes healthier in terms of, I don't know, the paint we use or the furniture we buy or have? Like, how can we make our homes healthier?
That's a great question. So, VOCs are definitely something to look into. So, that's the off gassing from either new furniture or paint or adhesives. So, just being really mindful and kind of, asking the questions when you're looking at bringing things into your homes, or, doing a remodel of some sort. Examples of that could be, I really love this brand called Alchemist paint. It's a mineral-based paint. It's completely 0 VOC, and, on top of that, it has no plasticizers in it, which is in traditional paint. I recently learned that the plasticizers in paint are one of the leading causes or contributors to microplastics in the ocean, which is
Mm,
crazy.
wow.
Little side tangent from our health in our homes. But so looking for paints that are 0 VOC, being really mindful of the furniture that we're selecting. So a lot of cheap, fast furniture is going to be filled with adhesives or finishes that are really toxic. I mean, most of them have those labels like very clear written out in their listing descriptions too.
What does it say on the labels?
Just like carcinogens, I don't know, included in, or it's like the California prop, like warning of this product includes, and then it like lists all of the crazy chemicals.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, the labels are saying danger, danger, danger,
Mhm.
that they're never talked about or discussed, and I'm so glad that you're bringing this up right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unfortunate because it really is like what's accessible and what people know,
Mhm.
is to look on, these big box brands and order online and get it quick and it's easy and it's at that accessible price point, and I really just like encourage my clients to look at alternatives. And a lot of times, if you're in that lower price point, like that means like looking secondhand and finding things that are already created and like need a new home.
It's
If you
it's better
do.
it's better for the planet, right? It's if
Totally.
you're doing the second, and that you mentioned fast fashion, or not fast fashion, you mentioned fast furniture. Frankly, anything with a fast in front of it is not good for us or the planet, right? Fast
Yeah.
fashion, fast furniture, fast food. It's bringing disharmony to
Yeah.
ourselves and our planet. And I'm so glad you brought up fast furniture because that's filling up our landfills
Mhm.
with cheap junk that is not really doing us any good. And you're right, there are solutions, there are alternatives. We can go secondhand. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, or, I think having the patience to save our money and wait and not get everything at once. It comes back to that, like, our addiction to instant gratification. But the more that we can be patient and then purchase high quality, durable, healthy materials that are going to last a long time, like that is just such a better route than getting everything all at once and having to repurchase some of these items so many times throughout our lives because they're made so cheaply.
I want to say it's so worth waiting. So, with the toxic mold, we got rid of everything and we actually did it twice. Uh, Mold loves paper, it loves books, it loves couches, it loves rugs, it loves clothing, it loves everything. And we got rid of everything. We thought our house was safe. It wasn't. I was still sick. And we had bought some new things. So we got rid of things again. And it was a little bit painful. I had bought a new organic mattress and used it 9 times. And then I realized it was contaminated. That space was still sick. And when we finally went through the final remediation and our house was safe and we were back in, we didn't have furniture, nice furniture in the living room for over a year. And I will say, we had a rocking, okay, we were able to keep one rocking chair. So we had a rocking chair and then we had a lawn chair from outside in the living room. And, we can shame ourselves and say, oh my gosh, at this point in my life, I can't believe, this is what it is. But I didn't want to buy anything until I knew my house was safe. And I wanted to be patient. I wanted to save my money so that I could buy things that were going to be quality, that were going to serve us
Yeah.
and be pieces that we could have for the rest of our lives so that we don't, again, need to buy anything else, so that we're not adding more to the planet load. So it's okay to take your time.
Yeah.
There's this book, Essentialism by Greg McCowan. And in this book, he talks about the idea of less but better. And I love it. Less
Yeah.
but better. And so I've kind of embraced that idea.
I
And
love
it's
that.
it's Bailey, I am a maximalist. I like stuff. And I will say at the same time, embracing this idea has made me feel so much lighter. So
Mhm.
much lighter. I can still like stuff. I just like less stuff.
And I think that really just encourages us to, like, actually maintain the things that we have. When they're higher quality and they're durable and we have less, we can learn how to repair things, and you kinda has a different energy, a non-disposable energy to it that I think is really good for us.
I like that non-disposable energy. And it's really honoring the things that we have.
Yeah.
And honoring ourselves at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we just need more of that in our lives. Slowness. It's like it just makes you, like, actually appreciate what you have.
That slowness reminds me of this idea of being present, really present, and that. So there's another author, Sue Monk Kidd, and she says that you can find the sacred in the now, the ordinary, and the natural.
Mm.
So you can find the sacred in those three. But in order to be able to find the sacred in those three, we need to be present. And that's what slowing down. I think that's one of the greatest gifts of slowing down.
That's beautifully said.
All right. So, what are some of your favorite? You've given us a few, some of your favorite sustainable materials or design elements
Mhm.
right now.
Okay, so I would say I just am always drawn to a natural raw material as much as possible. So a natural wood finished in a zero VOC, like healthy finish. Wickers, wools, like carpets, 100% wool is really my go-to. Like really reading all of the labels of what we're purchasing and like steering clear of any polyester or, synthetic mixed material. Linen is obviously lovely in the right. It just is a very fragile material as well, so you have to be mindful of when we're choosing more organic materials, like, can this application withstand where I would like to put it? So, wool, linen, wicker, wood, just even, like, raw metals, things that feel I guess that's, like, the utilitarian side of me, like, I just want, like, the, raw natural form.
Can you give us an example of what you would do like, when you want that raw metal? Like, what could that look like?
Yeah. Well, so bathrooms and kitchens, door hardware, I'm a big advocate for getting, like, 100% brass. It makes such a difference, and there's far too many faucets that have, like, a lot of plastic components to them, and the feel of I I mean, turning the handles of solid brass, and like just the heaviness to that is so beautiful. And for all your door handles, like that makes a world of difference. I think there's a lot we can do with the bones of our house, and they're often overlooked because it's like, oh, it's fine, you know. But the bones of your house are what really like provide the essence of the space. So being mindful of like, yeah, the all of the door handles, your baseboards, your window casings, your plumbing fixtures, things like that.
Is that where you would actually start? So focusing on those aspects or the bones of the house
Yeah.
versus
Yeah, as much as possible, I think, like, if you can build that up to a place that you're really happy with it, the decor, the styling, the furniture, like, that can all kind of that that all builds.
yeah.
But I think we do need to prioritize the raw structure of our space.
I love that thought of prioritizing it and honoring it. I've never really thought about that aspect of my home, and so I know I'm gonna look with fresh eyes today
Mhm. And
at
I think
that aspect. Yeah.
yeah, when you said honoring it, that makes me think of be really mindful to the architecture of your home and the year that it was built in. And as much as possible, like I always tell my clients, you don't have to, we don't need it, we don't need to make your house look like it, like step back in time by any means. It just needs to feel inspired by the year it was built and that it like could have been the original tile that was around the fireplace. It
Mm,
kind of it just, like, it honors the
yeah.
architecture and the yeah, just, like, the structure of your space.
I can see that because otherwise it would be such if you did kind of a mismatch for most of us that would feel like there would be a lack of congruence
Mhm.
and we would feel it. Maybe we wouldn't be able to put our tongue on it, know exactly what it was, but it is something that we would feel. So at least being inspired by the home's original design, original intention, is a really great suggestion. A great suggestion. All right, I want to move over just for a moment to storage solutions. So the storage industry is massive, massive, billions and billions. And that industry would love for us to not throw out our clutter and to just keep storing things forever. And so I guess when do these storage solutions, and do you have any favorites? When are they helpful? And when do they become just a way to hide more clutter?
Mhm.
Maybe we can't see the clutter, but we feel it. We know it's there. It's behind closed drawers or yeah. And so what is your take on storage solutions? How would you suggest we think about that in a way that serves us?
Yeah. Um, well, I would say, like, you do have to fully go through all of your things in, whatever space you're tackling, your garage, your closet, before you start storing it away. Because you actually have to know what's there. And then I would say having things really clearly labeled and being intentional to like, is this actually serving me to hold on to?
A
I
great
think,
question right there, actually. I want to pause you for a moment. Is this item serving me right now? Like, that's a great question that will give you permission to either keep it because it is serving you or to be honest and let it go because it is not serving you.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I would 100% agree. And I just think storage doesn't benefit us if we don't know what's there, if it's not labeled, and if it's not accessible. So, making sure that there's kind of a system down for, okay, when I need, my nail polish, whatever it is, it's like, it's got a space, it's in a bin, it's labeled. I know where it's at in my linen closet.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So just really being intentional and thinking thinking by design. So doing this by design and not default when it comes to your storage solutions. A lot of that storage is just plastic and
Yeah.
there's so much of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing is, like, as much as possible looking for maybe it's wicker baskets or fabric, just because as much as we can limit our plastic consumption and find materials that are gonna be biodegradable in the future,
Mm.
it's always a benefit.
Okay, so everything that exists today is going to end up in a landfill. How do you stall that? Or do you try to stall that? Knowing that at some point it will go to a landfill. What are ways to repurpose or upcycle items so that they aren't just used once and then done?
Mm. Um, I would say through my renovation process, I'm trying to get more and more creative. And it really is like, I feel like a side of my brain that I have to like switch on and be like, okay, we're wearing this hat. Like, are there things in this space that we can reuse? Whether that's in this exact application or room or somewhere else in the house. Like, maybe this rug doesn't really fit here anymore, but it's just like a simple cotton rug and it's in decent shape and we need a new upholstered bench in the hallway. Like, can we repurpose? And yeah, it really is like you got to like kind of put that lens on and get creative and push yourself. But as much as possible I'm trying to do that. And then when we are getting rid of items, whether that be furniture or maybe cabinetry, looking to can this go through Facebook Marketplace? Can it get donated to Habitat for Humanity? Or like can we be selling this excess tile? There's all kinds of creative solutions and I think it's just I just had this is actually a fun example. I had a bunch of rug samples that I was like, okay, I don't need these anymore. Manufacturers, the vendors didn't want them back. I listed them on Facebook Marketplace for free and this woman came this morning and she's like, my cat just scratches everything and I want to like build out more of like a scratching post for them. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, amazing. Like please take all these like beautiful,
Yeah.
100% wool samples and like put them to use in some form." So, I was so stoked about that.
It feels so light, right? It just feels so light when you know somebody's excited about it.
Yeah.
What about China? So I bring up China because it was something that a lot of people in my community invested in, thinking that it would be worth so much down the line. And they're all coming to a realization that nobody really wants use China in its current form anymore. And so they're seeing that it's hard to sell. Are there
Mm,
any other uses for the China or what could you do with it besides just toss it?
yeah. Ugh, yeah, that's kind of heartbreaking. Well, I hope that if they love it that they're using it because I think, far too often in our culture we've been taught to like if we have something nice to like store it away and like keep it sacred and then you never enjoy it. It's like wear the nice dress, use your china. But as far as yeah, getting rid of it, it's like I mean, I wonder if there's like a creative way to make some sort of like mosaic table that they really love. Or I always think if there's something sentimental that actually does make you think of a family member who's passed or, whatever it may be, your childhood, those can be really beautiful things to get framed in like a shadow box or like I've always thought that with like, certain fabric. If you have like fabric from a loved one who's passed to like frame it really cool and like a beautiful mat and like a nice big ornate frame. I just think that's such a wonderful way to honor that and see it every day and actually appreciate it without having to necessarily use the china, for example, if it doesn't fit with your current kitchen.
You've
So
given us
I don't know if that answers that
it
question.
does. You're making me think. I remember seeing once that somebody take the china and broke the china on purpose and then took the different little pieces and created a mosaic in their walkway. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah, that's very sweet.
And some of us, we not only have our set of china, but maybe we have our parents and our grandparents, and it's just it can feel so heavy.
Yeah.
I love the ideas that you're sharing with us. You've definitely talked about how we can create a space that really serves us, that helps us with our habits, that is a reflection of our values. Am inspired to go look at my home and to look at the bones. Like what I am sure that there's a lot of potential and possibility in my own home when it comes to the bones and being more intentional. Clutter. I just want to go back to clutter one more time. For the person that's feeling ambivalent about cleaning up their clutter, but it feels so heavy and they really want to, they just struggle with it. What is your response? Like, is it really worth it? Is it really worth leaning into that clutter, getting to the other side? And then also, why do you think so many of us live in homes that aren't really a reflection of our values or the values that we want to have? Why do you think that is?
Well, I would say to the person that's really struggling, for me personally, I have found that sometimes I just need to ask for help. And that can be so powerful. Like before my move, I knew I needed to downsize my closet. And I was so overwhelmed by the thought of it. I was like, where do I start? And I ended up asking one of my girlfriends if she would come over. I'm like, "Can you come over? I'll make dinner, pour you a glass of wine. You can just sit on my bed and like help me, process through this." And not only does it make it a lot more fun to do it with someone, but it just is really nice to have that like sounding board of, okay, can you see me wearing this? Like, am I actually and or, then she'd be like, "That's terrible quality. That doesn't reflect your values. Like, get rid of it." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, you're right." So ask for help. I feel like in so many things in life, we don't do that enough. And that's what community's for. We're meant to support one another. So whether that's, a family member, a friend, or there's amazing organization professionals out there as well that, really like got their system down and know what they're doing. So I would say looking into that. And then the second part of your question of why don't we live in homes that align with our value systems? I mean, I would say there's a lot that we unintentionally have picked up from our childhoods, from just like circumstances in our lives, and then they've become strong habits and we maybe don't even realize it, but it's just not really thought out and it's just the way that we've always done it. And then the next thing you know, like that's how your space looks. And so I think we have to be really intentional about breaking that mold and determining for ourselves, like, how do I want to live now? And we can recreate that for ourselves at any time in our lives, which is so beautiful. And just really allowing ourselves to like rewrite that narrative and choose what feels in alignment with not only our values, but like our future goals as well.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
Really, have you always been a fan of design?
Yeah, I would say so. I, just found a notebook as I was going through some of my like sentimental things from childhood that I created probably when I was like, I don't know, 7 or so years old. And I have my little floor plans. The front says Bailey's Dream Life. And it's like cutouts from magazines where I cut out the letters individually so they're all different fonts and colors. It's so cute. It's so like early 2000s. And then I have floor plans and mood boards all from like magazine cutouts and it's like PB Teen, which is just funny. But I have my closet, and I added little notes in there, like, I'd have my wall of shoes and just details of how I wanted my dream house to look. So it was fun to find that and realize that I have always really, like, held my space sacred even as a child, and maybe I didn't quite even know that there was, that interior design was an industry when I was a kid, but I've always had that as, like, a part of who I am. And I've always been creative. So when I kind of fell into the industry, I was like, oh yeah, this is like I was really into painting through high school. And then when I found interior design, I was like, this is so much cooler than just painting on a surface. Like you're creating a 3D experience of like space, and you walk in and it really makes you feel something, and there's just like this, yeah, the coolest form of artistic expression for me. Obviously, I fell in love with it and really enjoy creating that for my clients.
You are doing what you are meant to be doing, for sure.
Thank you.
I'm so inspired right now. So Bailey, where do we go online to find you?
So, BaileyCatherineInteriors.com is a great place to start, and Catherine is spelled with a K. I'm also on Instagram, Bailey Catherine Interiors, and you can book a call with me through my website if you want to chat about a project or anything. Love to connect.
Well, I have really enjoyed our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining me and for sharing your wisdom and your perspective and your experience with us. This has been a true gift.
Thank you, Heather. It's always such an honor, and I love being part of your community.
Thank you. We love it too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, give us a like and share with friends who could use some lightness. Don't forget to follow our page for daily doses of living lighter. And remember, if it feels light, it's right.